I don't know how the hell my brother is back, and I don't know what he wants, but I have a feeling that he is not going to stop until he gets what he wants, and I think he wants me. I slowly push the false wall in, causing the door-like feature to pop open. I slip inside and quickly close it behind me as I hear the basement door being torn down. I cautiously take a few steps backward, away from the false wall upon hearing the stairs creak and the moans of those fucking creatures. I'm honestly glad that he hasn't a clue as to the existence of these tunnels. It is probably the only way that I am going to survive. Those things will eventually find the tunnels, or find their way out of the house and around the town. The town. I hadn't thought about what could be happening, or if it was happening to anyone outside of the neighborhood. I do as best as I possibly can to carefully and quietly walk through the current tunnel that I am in. I know damn well that if I fuck up and make one sound, then those things will find me. I am not going to die tonight. A sudden thought popped into my head when I arrived at a cross-section in the tunnels. What if these things can smell me? What if they are like bloodhounds and can sniff out my whereabouts based on my scent? Surely that isn't the situation that I am in, I was thinking to myself when I heard the sound of people in the distance of the tunnel to my right. I freeze where I am standing, too afraid of it being those creatures to move when 3 people quickly run past me. "Wait!" a girl hisses. "I think I saw someone back there." "Who the fuck would be running through the tunnels?" a boy asks. "Us, dumbass," a second girl says. "Fair point. Alright, let's go," the boy agrees. I stand there, still frozen when the 3 figures appear out of the darkness once more, all of them with weapons in hand. "Are you alright?" a brunette-haired girl inquires. Yeah, I'm fine," I shake my head. "I didn't expect to see anyone else down here." "Neither did we," the boy says. "I'm Stan." "I'm Kyle. This is Amanda and Haley." "It's nice to meet you all, but we need to get the fuck out of here before those things figure out where the hell I am," I say. The other 3 nod their heads in agreement before I follow them down the tunnel that was on my left. We walk through the twisting and turning maze of tunnels until we find a ladder leading upward toward a manhole in the road that happens to be directly in the middle of town. Our best chance at survival is to find any other people that are still human, get more weapons, and pray like hell that we figure out a way to kill these things once and for all. Kyle is the first person to climb up the ladder. He said that he would take the risk and pop open the manhole to see how the state of things were in. Everything was fine. The late-night teenagers and normal people in their early to late 20s are walking around the downtown area, going into local bars and just walking up and down the main drag. The 4 of us sighed in unison and climbed the ladder. We then managed to warn everyone out there that they needed to get to safety, grab a weapon, and prepare to battle those horrendous things. Kyle, Amanda, Haley, and myself all hid out in the outdoor store, occasionally peeking out of the shaded windows while listening for any sound resembling the terrible groans of those creatures. As it turns out, my brother wasn't the only person who had committed suicide 2 weeks ago. Kyle, Amanda, and Haley all had family members that decided life wasn't worth it anymore, and their family members came back on the same night that my brother did, yet there was something we couldn't figure out. What in town is making people come back from the dead? The fog that had settled upon my neighborhood is slowly creeping into the downtown area, whereas the time was catching up with me. I have been awake for over 3 days now, and I am utterly exhausted. My eyelids grew heavier with every passing moment of us silently waiting for the monsters to come. I must have fallen asleep at some point because I woke up to Haley violently shaking me. She placed the index finger of her right hand over her lips, telling me to be quiet, and that's when I heard it, the groaning of those horrid creatures. Shit, I think to myself as I quietly stand up from the place I had been sitting. I peer out of the blinds just as I hear a familiar voice. "Come on out, Stanley," Mike says. I do not want to answer him, nor do I want to go out there, but if sacrificing myself means that it will save Haley and the others, then so be it. I turn away from the blinds to see the others staring at me with wide eyes. I nod my head, silently telling them I'll be fine. They all quickly give me a hug before I open the door to the room we are hiding in. I cautiously walk through the store, walking out of the back door, making sure it's not locked behind me just in case I need to get back in. I loaded my gun earlier. I'm still carrying the axe, and I have equipped myself with a baseball bat that will be used as an emergency weapon. I slowly walk out of the alley between the store and another building. I see my brother standing in front of a large group of those monsters. Mike sadistically smiles when a thought occurs to me. He is standing in the exact spot his body landed when he jumped off of the roof of the movie theater. I don't have time to even consider what I wanted to say because the loud sound of a bang fills the air. I look behind me to see Kyle, Haley, and Amanda standing behind me with their attention focused on the creatures surrounding us. "Just go. We've got this," Kyle commands. "All right," I nod. I slowly begin to walk toward my brother with the shotgun raised in my hand. I pull the trigger back, hearing the click just before a loud bang sounds. I watch as the bullet hits the creature standing beside my brother. Damn it! I'm not a good shot unless I have two hands on the gun. I shoot the gun one last time, hitting the person standing on the other side of my brother. I drop the gun and decide that it's better to be able to get closer in order to finally kill Mike. For good. My hands begin to tremble when I approach Mike because I don't want to do this again. I am so tired of shooting my brother. So tired of trying and failing to kill him when he already killed himself. I do as best as I can to keep at least 6 feet between him and myself, but the furthest I could keep was 3 feet, which gives me enough room to raise the axe and thrust it as hard as I possibly can toward my brother. The blade connects with the flesh of his neck. The sound of flesh being torn open, muscles, veins, and tissues being cut in half fills the atmosphere as I watch the blade glide clean through his neck, severing it. Blood squirts upward in the air before slamming down on his shoulders like a waterfall. The dark liquid slides down his shirt and drops onto the concrete. My brother's head hits the concrete just as a screeching noise rings in my ears. I look around to see all of the monsters backing away, and that's when I realize that killing them in the spot that they took their own lives, is the key to everything. I raise the axe once more and bring it down on Mike's heart. The blade strikes the concrete, which causes the screeching to intensify. "We have to kill them in the spot where they died," I shout. I glance over my shoulder for a mere second to see Kyle, Haley, and Amanda all doing what I had just done to my brother. The screeching continues with every monster that they take down. A black, swirling vortex opens up underneath my brother's body. It swallows him up before spreading to the other bodies of those that have been killed, again. I turn toward the place where a lot of monsters are. My hands tightly grip the handle of the axe as I take charge and hurry toward them. Rage consuming me for having to deal with this fucked up situation. The fog that had settled over the town begins to retreat when the final body hits the place it had landed when the person originally killed themselves. I turn around after watching the vortex consume the final person to see Kyle looking at me with wide eyes along with Amanda and Haley. "Holy shit," Kyle says. "Remind me not to piss you off." I don't really know what that was about, I admit. I explained it to them how this whole thing started, since my brother was the first person in town to kill himself. They seemed shocked at first, but then told me the story of how their loved ones died, which surprised me because it was the same manner as how Mike decided to take his own life. It took us a few days to clean up all of the blood from the streets, to explain to the cops how everything happened and how I became an orphan. The vortex took my parents as well. We honestly thought that the police wouldn't believe us about what happened, but it turns out that they all had dealt with the same situation as we had, so they weren't going to charge us for what we did in order to survive. A week or two after the incident with the town, I decided that it was time to go and visit my family's final place of resting. Mike was reburied alongside my mom and dad. I remained in touch with Amanda and Haley. Hell, I even moved in with Kyle and his parents. I say one prayer for my family before turning to look at Kyle. He was standing in front of his younger sister's tombstone. I was prepared to begin my walk over there when something tightly grabs a hold of my ankle. I looked down at the ground to see a hand sticking out of the ground where Mike had been buried for the second time. "Son of a bitch," I say.